Hi, welcome to the channel today. It's a windy day, so I apologize. We're going to try to do this, and hopefully this sound won't be too bad. But today we're going to be seeding some stuff, potting some stuff up, and I may even do a walk to show well, maybe not. They're starting to show the citrus and how it's doing. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to be planting for transplants for watermelon seedlings about that time of year. This is what I'm using. It's the Burpee Super Seed 16 extra large cells, and what I like about them is it's got to where you can take this thing and move it out. It's got the sides to it. You can take it off, you can water it. If you have any extra water, you can dump it out. One of the bad things about seeding, that when people use these trays, is they fit tight, so you can't really pull them up, and they water them, they get too much water in the bottom, and that drowns the seed. Seeds don't like to be kept consistently wet. Damping off can happen. And I'm going to be planting Crimson Sweet, which is an heirloom watermelon. It was a really good watermelon. It gets about 25 pounds average. I've had success with it in the past. Seeds are small, and I'm just going to be putting one seed per cell. So this should give me approximately 16 plants. And just take it, and since there's a little bit bigger seeds, you can just take them and shove them in there. Make sure it don't stick to your finger. And these are open pollinated, so I would be able to save the seeds from the watermelon if I wanted to, if that's the only watermelon I'm growing. Last year I had a multiple probably ought to do it like this. I'm going to put 2 on that one. That seed didn't look that great. And like I say, get them about quarter, half an inch, probably more closer to a 1/4 inch. Drop the seed in there. I'm dropping a couple on some of them. I can always come back and cut one of them off. Now some gardeners don't like doing that, but it's not they don't like doing it, it's just you spend all that time trying to get something pollinated, and then you have to pull them up. And then just go back here and cover them back up. And I watered them one last time, and then I'm not going to water them again unless it gets really dry until they sprout. So that's pretty easy. I do go ahead and show some of this, and y'all might say, well, why are you showing this? Should be easy. Some people don't know how to do this. And like I said, then you wait. In about a week to 10 days, they should be popping up. What you do not want to do with these is let these things get really big and long and get root bound in these things. So, watermelons don't like the roots mess with, so you're trying to get them in and out and done. So anyway, that's how we're doing that one, and I'll set that inside. The other thing we're going to be doing, I'm going to be potting up a couple of plants, and I like these tubs, and these are just lick tubs, syrup tubs that you get. Now, I did not do these. I give them some people, and then they're moving, so they gave them back to me, and they drilled holes in them. I'm going to critique how the holes are drilled. This is the first one, and all the holes are drilled right in the very bottom. The problem with this is everywhere you see these holes, it gives a tree root. If you look up over here, I just moved this pot over. You see all these fine tree roots? They're looking for moisture. And if they come in, they see one of those holes, they'll go right up that hole and cover up, fill up this with roots, because it's got, from a big tree over there, it's got plenty of ability to do that. So I don't like seeing the hose in the middle, in the bottom. The other problem is I can't tell when I'm watering if any water's coming out. So I don't know if I've watered it enough. So they also did this one. They still put the hose in the bottom, which I don't like this. I wish they left these 5 hoses out, and they put hoses in the sides. That's fine. I would have put them more up here, or maybe even up here, so I'd have a water reservoir in the bottom of this. Also, we don't need that many hoses. I usually put 4 hoses in it, 4 or 5 hoses on the side, and that's all you need. And this here's done the correct way, I'd say. Got some hose in it. All looks pretty good. If you look in the bottom, there's no hose in the bottom. So tree roots can't get in here unless this pot sells enough that it can jump in and hit these hoses, which I guess you show on this side. If it's sunk into the ground, you get a lot of water, and this gets in touch with the soil, it could happen that way, but this one to me was done the right way. So they did one of them right. Now, I'm gonna mix up some potting mix. I'm gonna be potting up this one here, this hibiscus. And when you get them like this, I'm gonna pop it out of the pot first. It's got good fertilizer all up and down it. That's really nice. I use green things is that Osmocote type stuff. That's great. I'm gonna use this to get the perlite out. And what I've done, and I always say it's a 5-1-1 mix, but you tell I'm not measuring anything. I used 1 bag of this cubic foot of the living earth. You don't want to breathe that stuff in because it's a lot like asbestos. I put one of these down. Now, I did use some old potting mix, so I'm not going to be putting in the peat moss that I got here. You know, I could, but I got enough fines in it, it should be fine. So I put half of that in there, and then you put the other half. That just makes it easier to mix. Then you just mix it up. Really easy to do. It is already wet, which makes it nice. Like I say, that to me is really good. You got some fines in there. You got about the right particles. You don't have a bunch of big chunks in there. A lot of that is bark. It's not sapwood. Sapwood will break down faster. And all you got to do now is fill up these tubs. Now, hibiscus, every year I usually buy a new one because I just don't think they're worth trying to keep alive. And that sounds bad, but garden space in my garden and my garage, pretty precious. I'm trying to keep the citrus alive. This cost me $17.99, you know, that's money. And the main reason I grow hibiscus is not just for the pretty. Well, it's for the pretty blossoms, but not for what most people do. I have a Uromastus lizard, and he's a vegetarian, and he loves the flowers on these. Anyway, I take this, I'm gonna set that down. Now that is a little low, so I'm gonna come back and do some more. That should be about right. Now, notice I did not mess with the roots. I did not fluff up the root ball. I don't believe in doing that. If I see some circular roots growing around, yeah, you get those circular roots undone. But this thing's growing just fine. If you start messing with those roots, actually, roots don't take up water like people think. It's the root hairs. And anytime you start messing with the root hairs, or the root ball, you're going to tear those root hairs. And then the plant can't take up any nutrients or any water until their root hairs have reestablished themselves. And truth, most plants do not like being disturbed like that. They don't like going through the shock. Just like people, if you go through a shock period, it's going to take you a while to overcome that. So I'm not a big proponent, especially on annuals, which I guess this is going to be treated as an annual. Especially on annuals, you do not want to mess with those roots. And if it's a pepper plant, I won't mess with them at all. Tomato, maybe. But honestly, with the tomato plant, those roots, it'll root on the stem. So if you're planting the stem below soil surface, even if it's got a circular root, it can always put out roots somewhere else. So actually, I'm just not a big fan of that. Some people are. There's different ways to skin a cat. Probably shouldn't say that on video, but there's different ways of doing things. But I'm not a proponent of it. And then after this, we'd water this down and, you know, make sure it's wet down. Always, when you transplant something like this, always water it down, let it grow. One thing you want to be careful on a hibiscus is you don't, in any flowering plant, you don't want to put too much water on it. Even a fig plant, because a fig actually is just a flower. We eat the flowers. Is if you put too much nitrogen on it, too much fertilizer on it, it's going to produce a lot of foliage, but it's not going to produce a lot of blooms. They need to be stretched just a little bit. If you grow too much, you go vegetative, and all you do is big old bush with no flowers. But anyway, that's how I do this for these plastic pots. Now tomorrow I'm going to be doing some more when I plant some tomatoes where I'm using fabric pots. This mix does not work well with fabric pots. You know, it's mixed of 5-1-1s, 5 parts pine bark mulch, 1 part perlite, 1 part peat moss, basically. That drains too well for your fabric pots. So I'm going to show you another one I'm going to be trying on it. No, I had one time a guy said, well, I've tried that with fabric pots, it didn't work very well. And I agree with him. I've tried that before with mine. But anyway, the wind's picking up again. I'm going to do a couple more in the video, outside the video. And anyway, I'll see you next time. I'm going to wait to do the citrus because it's just too windy. And I will do a video on the citrus. But anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.